is Thursday, the 17th of May, 2018, and you're listening to Skeptics with a K, the podcast for science, reason, and critical thinking. Skeptics with a K is a production of the Merseyside Skeptics Society, a non-profit organisation for the promotion of scientific skepticism on Merseyside, around the UK and internationally. I am your host, Mike Hall. With me today is Marsh.
Hello.
And Alice.
Hello.
So I went to see some Shakespeare.
More Shakespeare?
More Shakespeare. I went to see Othello at the Everyman.
Wow, nice. Anyone we know in it?
Which was quite nobody that I knew.
Wasn't Chris
who was
Eccleston in the titular part?
No.
That'll be a bold piece of casting. I wonder if anyone's tried race blind casting, where they cast a white Othello.
I have seen
That'd be awful.
Race reversed versions of Othello,
Yeah,
where
you
it's
can get away with that, that's
white
fine.
Othello and the otherwise predominantly black cast.
Yeah.
They did lesbian Othello in this one, so Othello was a woman.
Yeah.
The other gender roles remain the same. So
and then what happens is that the black person stands next to the white person turns black, and then another white person comes along, those two black people turn white.
Oh, all right, that kind of Othello.
There you
Okay,
go, that is the board game
fine.
Othello.
Yes. But I'd never seen Othello before.
No?
I'd seen the movie O.
Oh, no.
Which is Mackay Pfeiffer in a kind of quasi Othello type plot. But I quite enjoyed Othello.
It's a classic.
And
now you understand when I say that the Royal Shakespeare Company, where I saw them in Newcastle, played Iago for laughs.
No, that wouldn't work at all.
No, it didn't work at all. It didn't work at all.
I thought Iago was excellent.
He is excellent, but he's evil.
It reminded me in many ways of Avengers Infinity War.
Right.
Which was interesting because and mild spoilers for Avengers Infinity War here,
and major spoilers for Othello.
you watch Avengers Infinity War, and despite it having Avengers in the name, Infinity War is very much the Thanos movie.
Yes, it is.
The main character is Thanos. The fact that the main character is not the hero is kind of irrelevant. The main character in Infinity War is Thanos, and you're following Thanos.
Yep, or as the Yorkshiremen call him, the nose. the nose.
And so you just see where he intersects with the Avengers, but you also see like other bits and pieces of it. And it's the Thanos movie. It's not an Avengers movie, it's a Thanos movie. Othello, very much Iago's story. It's called Othello.
Yes.
It's about Iago's the main character in that. You know, definitely has the bulk of the dialogue.
Certainly
but that
the
story
soliloquies as well.
Is about Iago manipulating every other fucker around him.
Yes.
So in many ways, Shakespeare's Thanos. You could look at it.
That's probably where he got the idea from.
It almost certainly was. Almost certainly exactly where he got the idea from is because he was a big Marvel fan.
He was
Shakespeare. He bloody loved it.
Famously
prescient.
So. Ahead of his time in many ways.
He was ahead of his time in many, many ways. But I enjoyed that a lot. I didn't, I've hadn't seen Shakespeare live at all the start of this year. Now I'm on a fucking roll.
No,
2 down. Let's see what else.
Nice.
Let's see what else I can do.
Othello is one of my favourites.
I thought it was better performed than the one I saw at the Royal Shakespeare Company as well. Oddly enough, because you would have thought Royal Shakespeare Company
even with
would have
Chris
done it
Eccleston
better.
in.
Yeah, the Royal Shakespeare version was very much, as they say, shouting in the evening. Everyone was just bellowing their lines out as loud as they could, as quickly as they could, to make it sound as Shakespearean as it is. There was no nuance in the delivery, and especially with Macbeth, there's a clock on stage counting down to when Macbeth is going to die all the way through the production. And
that's not in the text.
No, but that's it.
just because you had, especially with Macbeth, like it was there's the clock, the famous clock in the
RSC version of Macbeth is they've done that for a while.
We'll come back to clocks later.
But in Othello, there was more time for a little bit of nuance in the performance, which it started off a bit shouting in the evening, but it developed, and I kind of got the feel for that kind of Shakespearean dialogue and started enjoying it an awful lot more than it. So it was good. So go and see Othello. Everyone should go see Othello.
Everyone should go and see Othello. Did you go and see this? When did you see this?
A week ago.
Was it about on your birthday or before your birthday?
No, it was before my birthday.
You've had a birthday.
I've had a birthday. I don't mention my birthday on the show generally.
We've not given you a choice because we mentioned it for you.
Tried to keep that one. Tried to keep that one on the day. I find birthdays really difficult to deal with.
Why?
Because I end up kind of the centre of attention, which is not. And everyone's like, "Oh, happy birthday, Mike."
Well, the thing is, you're
I
on
love the show. Oh.
Well, listeners don't have to say happy birthday to you because by the time the show goes out, it's been ages since your birthday.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you see, if you go on my Twitter profile, is my birthday public? Is it fucking shite? Because I don't want people to be going, "Oh, happy birthday!" My phone's buzzing all day from people going, "Happy birthday, Mike," which I understand people are just being nice, but every time it makes me go.
Well, with that in mind, happy birthday, Mike.
Thanks very much, mate.
We got you some cake.
Cake. There's cake.
We have brought some cake.
And also, I tried to buy, those really naff party blower things?
Yes.
Because I thought it'd be really, really annoying for our listeners.
Yeah.
But I couldn't find any anywhere. So instead, I found...
It's a little kazoo thing, is it? Good.
It's even napper than party blowers.
Oh, let's have a go at that.
It's really hard to do.
It's really hard.
These are really weird. I don't know if I like them. Because the thing is, they're mouth shaped. You put them in your mouth and you just blow, and it's got a little sort of fan in the front. But when you do them, it makes you feel asthmatic. Oh no, mine's broken already.
Well, of course you've broken it.
That's good.
I've brought
I'm sure that's thoroughly pissed everyone off.
brownie cakes.
Brownie cakes.
So there's a raspberry one, a salted caramel one, and a cookie dough one.
Excellent. Are we going to eat on air again? Are we going to?
I made sure there were soft things.
Well, we won't necessarily eat on air, but you can take those because before we get to the show, so we normally do the what have you been up to? So we went away, didn't we, Alice? And you and our respective partners and our friends.
Yeah.
And people.
We went to the Lake District for the bank holiday weekend.
Yeah, we spent the weekend away. And while we were there, we went to the Pencil Museum in Keswick, the Cumberland Pencil Museum in Keswick.
In Keswick,
We did.
yes.
And saw the
We have
world's
been wanting to
largest
go
pencil.
for a while.
I've been to Keswick, but I've not been to the Pencil Museum.
It was what, like £3 or £4, £5?
No, it was like, I'm sure it was more than that.
It was
like
like
£7 or £8. It was
It
quite,
was not. It was about a fiver.
The other thing we went to was about
The other
a
thing was
fiver.
exactly £3. So the good thing about the Pencil Museum is you go in, you've got a little cave entrance to your left.
Right.
You duck under the cave entrance, you're making it through the cave, you're being graphite, you're being lead or whatever they've kind of plumbed out from there. I mean, I don't know what was in a pencil, I didn't bother reading. But you go past like the exhibit of like, oh, there's a man who's doing some digging, there's a man who, so that you're in the cave for, I would say, about 40 seconds.
If you're dragging it out, yeah. If you like, it's about a 10-second walk, but you kind of
But you want to sort of like huddle
stuff.
down, it's quite short, and then you step out, and then you're just in a large-ish room, and then that's the entire museum.
It is.
And it was and you can still see the entrance, like the gift shop from so it was basically an extension of the gift shop.
Yeah.
So it was a bit smaller than we expected. It had the world's largest pencil in it, which is quite a big pencil.
I thought it was like famously brilliant, the Pencil Museum, or is it famously brilliant because it's shite?
I think it's famously brilliant because it's shit.
It was a bit shit. I'd recommend people do it.
we like shit things.
We do like shit things. We were there with Adge, Andrew Johnson, our treasurer, and he normally quite likes things. Shit things.
It.
He really hated it.
Amazing how much he hated it.
He was genuinely annoyed that it was just a room that was an extension of the gift shop was the entire museum.
He was more annoyed. We came out, we sat, it was a glorious sunny day, absolutely beautiful weather, and we'd been inside a room looking at pencils. And we came out and we sat on the picnic table outside, and then he realised that his partner, Emma, who's been on the show before, had bought some earrings, some little pencil end earrings, and he was incandescent that she'd given them money, that she'd spent the money in the Pencil Museum on these earrings.
I mean, if you don't spend the money, how are they going to improve the museum? How are they going to make it any bigger?
I don't think they were short of money.
They were not short of money. But so there's a picture of Nicola and Andrew Johnson there being very unimpressed outside of the
Cumberland Pencil Co. Limited. Nice.
They own the Cumberland Pencil Museum.
There it is, right next to the old pencil factory. They had a pencil factory. It is now just a dilapidated factory building that says pencil factory on the front of it, but is no longer operational.
So we went there, and then we went to the what was it called? The Palace of Illusions, was it?
It was
Puzzle
Place.
The Puzzle Place.
Puzzle Place,
which was all about optical illusions, which was almost entirely shit.
It was definitely, it was very old. It was definitely put together like in the 80s, maybe. It had a hologram museum, which the only other hologram museum I've ever seen is in Matlock Bath, and that's been there for a good couple of decades as well, and is absolutely terrible.
But it was a bit like the optical illusions room that we had at QED with Richard Wiseman, but sort of like how when Richard did it, there was a little bit of a tongue-in-cheekness to how to some of the effects.
Yeah, as there is with everything Richard does.
Exactly.
It's a very Richard Wiseman thing, isn't it?
As there wasn't at this. As there absolutely wasn't at this. But there were some good rooms. There was one room that made us all feel sick because it was like... The whole room was on a slant,
really
built on a slant. Yes, that was quite bad. Then there was just lots of like optical illusions, like, is it two people sitting at a table, or is it a skull? Well, it's quite clearly both.
Yeah, it was a printout of things that you look at online.
Yeah. But one of my favourite things was a picture. And you had to see whether it's like, is it a person like this, or is it a person like that? Yeah. And it was titled Eskimo or Indian.
Nice. Okay.
Neither. Definitely neither of those things. It's neither of those things, or the both terms that it can't be. So yeah, we went there. That was a fun little day out, a little weekend out.
It was okay. Yeah, we all got really badly sunburnt on the first day because we all expected it to rain because bank holiday weekend in Britain.
Yeah.
And we particularly got sunburnt on a pedalo and a rowing boat.
We did. We went on boats. I was already horrifically sunburnt by then.
I've got
a weird keyhole in my back from the dress that I was wearing that went bright red.
So we have to be better in the sun. When we have our charity walk next weekend, we have to be better in the sun because it's going to be sunny.
I get sunburnt every year we do the charity walk.
Yeah.
And your head gets sunburnt every year. We need to be really good this year.
We do.
Especially because it's Skin Cancer Awareness Month.
Nice tie-in.
Yeah.
Good.
So we need to be like aware of the risk of skin cancer. We've got no excuse.
Katie has still got a tan line across her back from where she got sunburned at the charity walk last year.
Really?
And it's still there.
That is impressive.
Still there on her back.
Impressive.
It's a disgrace. We should probably plug the charity walk then, shouldn't we? Seeing as it's on topic, segue, we'll pretend that we meant it.
I mean, I literally did mean that. That was genuinely intended.
That's more professional than you can reasonably expect to see on this show.
Wait till you get to my story; it'll get less professional.
So the Merseyside Skeptics charity walk is this Sunday at...
it's the day after the royal wedding.
It is the day after the royal wedding. This Sunday at 11 o'clock. Was that you celebrating the royal wedding?
Yes, it was.
That's good.
This is how I celebrate the royal wedding now.
That's how, for our overseas listeners, that's how we all celebrate the royal wedding. They give out lip-shaped kazoos to all and sundry. Sundays at 11 o'clock, we're going to be walking 7 kilometres across the front in aid of GiveWell, who donate to other charities, but they do that on an evidence-based basis, on the basis of where the money is going to do the most good, which we thought was a great kind of skeptical angle for the whole thing. So we'll put the link for that if you want to donate, and we've got a very modest goal on this. Listeners, if you'd like to donate to our charity walk, you can find the link for that in the show notes. You guys went to a flat Earth convention.
Yeah, so this is the part two. As we talked through the weekend on the last show, which was a feature-length, ridiculous-length show, there was a bit that we couldn't put in because it in itself was, for me, the highlight of the weekend.
It was incredible.
And also it needed space to breathe.
Okay.
I mean, the guy who we saw for the Saturday evening part, which is the part you're talking about, he talked for 3 hours.
He did talk for 3 hours.
3 hours of solid talk with some very interesting things that we will
definitely go into. So yeah, this is a chap called Martin Kenny.
Yep.
And all we knew about this was that it was Cosmic Egg.
Yeah.
So we looked it up and we saw there was a film about Cosmic Egg. So we thought, is this going to be a showing of a film, The Cosmic Egg? And then I got a message.
Bearing in mind that the entire weekend had been a bit shambolic in how it had been organised. Everything was running late. The speakers didn't know what they were talking about, or they did know what they were talking about, but they were planning to talk for several more hours than they'd been allocated in terms of time. We didn't have high expectations of this, and we weren't. We even talked about maybe not going.
We did talk about not going if it was just going to be a film. But then I got a text from one of the journalists that we bumped into over the weekend saying, "I've just had a preview of what it is, and it's amazing."
Okay.
And he said when he got the preview, he laughed out loud and couldn't help himself. So I thought, right, we're going to go.
So this is their Saturday night at QED. That's what this is.
Saturday night
sort
entertainment,
of, yeah.
yes.
It wasn't really their entertainment because it was meant to just be a talk, but it became the entertainment.
Okay.
So this is Martin Kenny talking about Cosmic Egg, and he started by saying, look, I know it's late, and it's been a long day, but I'm going to crack on as best as I can and not get distracted. Now,
He didn't get distracted.
He did not get distracted.
He did proceed to talk
He
for
stayed
3
on
hours,
topic.
but he didn't get distracted.
And he said, the information I'm going to share is to challenge your boxes of belief. I'm not here to preach or sell to anyone. This is simply presenting my perspective, my ideas, my research. Okay?
Boxes of belief.
Not in your boxes of belief.
Okay.
So he started by telling us his origin story. And he said, a time came when things were a bit rough in my
You
life.
make him sound like a superhero.
So
He is my hero.
yeah.
It was the best
This is
thing
very
I've
much
ever seen.
His origin story.
If last episode was Avengers Infinity War, this is very much a kind of Avengers 4. This is next year's Avengers film.
Yes, yep.
Following on from what happened. Following on from what happened
Well,
last
no, this
time.
is like a bit in the middle, so it's probably more like, I was say one of the Star Wars sort of post. Is there a Star Wars sort of like? Is there such a thing as an inkwell, which is like not the prequel or the sequel, but like the bit that goes in between the two kind of thing?
There is now.
An inkwell. This is the inkwell. So he said there was a time when he started to ask questions. He said, I was sure that something definitely wasn't right, but I didn't have a smoking gun. Then one day I sat on the internet looking for something to peruse, and I came across a Flat Earth video, which was Dave Murphy, allegedly Dave, in Macedonia. We talked about allegedly Dave on the last show. And he said, like everyone else, I laughed and I sniggered. I thought it was a bit out there. I researched everything else, but I thought, I don't think I'm willing to go this far. This is just insane. And he said, but as I'm questioning, I said, I'll watch it and I'll mock. But after 10 minutes, I stopped sniggering. Alarm bells rang inside me. Something told me to pay attention, and I did. Needless to say, after watching the presentation, I was convinced that I knew nothing. He said, when I embarked on this quest, a few facts become apparent. Now, this will become more important as we go along, okay?
Okay.
He said, facts become apparent. I know nothing. Everything's up for questioning. Nothing's off limits. Question everything. Question especially your cultural, religious, educational beliefs. It's a daunting task because everything he thought he knew didn't make sense anymore. And I agree. Question everything. Nothing's off limits. Question your cultural, religious, educational beliefs. But know where those questions, know how to question everything and know when. Because he said, truth doesn't belong to any religion, race, culture. Truth just is. He says, the sun just is. Which I thought was a terrible example to use at the Flat Earth Convention, when many of them disagreed about what the sun actually was.
Yeah.
But there we go. So, he said, life just is, doesn't belong to anyone. Truth is confused with belief. Belief is accepting something based on someone else's experience. That's belief. If you haven't witnessed it with your own senses, it's not truth. It's belief. Truth is accepting something based on your own personal first-hand observation and experience, using your own faculties and senses.
This is such a common thing in the Flat Earth community. We talked about it when we went to see the guys at Chester Flat Earth group. We encountered it a lot over the weekend, this idea that you can only trust things that you can tangibly, physically experience with your only 5 senses.
With your exclusively 5 sentences. He said, you can know that I'm standing here because you can see me standing here. But if someone's at home watching on the internet and they're told I'm standing here, I might not be standing here. So that's not how truth works. That is not how truth works.
That is not how truth works. It's also not how belief works, but okay.
I find this so interesting, though, because they talk repeatedly about how you can only trust things that you can experience with yourself. But what's the first thing most of them say when they're trying to convince you? I saw this experiment on YouTube.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Every time.
Why didn't the YouTuber fake it? Well, because you can tell when it's faked.
He said that mainstream science will tell us to ignore our everyday observable experience of reality. They will dictate that our common sense does not always make sense, so we should not be trusted, and sometimes they should be ignored, our common senses. They tell us the logical thing to do is accept and believe without question everything we're taught and shown by way of TV, books, religion, culture, and educational system.
Everything I've learned about science points to the fact that scientists say that you should not question anything around you and just take on face value exactly what people tell you.
Yeah, he said,
science is all about that.
Mainstream science tells you just believe what you've been taught in religion is one of the things he just said there.
Definitely what science teachers do.
So then he went on to say, if what I'm asked to believe does not make sense or does not correlate with my everyday version of reality, I should unashamedly question it, which led me to, where on earth do I begin on the topic of flat Earth? Where do I find truth using my own natural, observable senses? He said, well, in nature, of course. Because even Mr. Albert Einstein himself said, look deep into nature and you will understand everything better. At which point, someone in the audience shouted, well, he's a liar. and so Martin says, well, obviously he was a liar. He followed the conspiracy and whatever. But even he said that. It's like, well, even the person that I think is a liar and a conspiracist, when he says something I agree with, is right.
Even the noted liar Albert Einstein agrees with me on this point.
Yeah. So he said, water, wind, the sun, moon, trees, mountains, vegetation, the sky, the stars, they never, ever lie. Nature is nature. You can try to manipulate it, but water will always be water. Nowhere in the natural observable world does water stick to the outside of a rotating or spinning object.
Unless it's ice.
Water, or unless you believe in the globe model, in which case, the Earth.
Or it's a particularly large ball.
Yeah, exactly.
It will stick to the outside of a particularly large ball.
Yeah. Nowhere in a version of the world where we have rejected all the places we can see water sticking to an object does water stick to an object. He says, water always seeks to find its level. I can confidently say this because it is what I logically observe. My common sense within my everyday reality, on this basis alone, it is impossible for the Earth to be a violently spinning ball. Far more likely is the fact that the Earth is level because that's what water tells me. Okay, so this is fairly mainstream flat Earth belief at the moment.
It's fairly, it's wrong, but it's fairly mainstream. They didn't do calculus at school, did they? All curves are locally straight is the fundamental foundation of calculus.
He said, many of you probably asking the next question, if it's not round, what is it? What shape is it? He says, what shape could our Earth and the universe be? How big are they? What are they? How does this work? How much of what we're taught is truth and how much is lies? Which are very good questions to be asking.
They are reasonable questions, right? That's true.
He says, I want to be clear, while I might not be able to factually verify most of what I'm going to share with you today.
That's true.
It's worth considering that my argument is built on the foundation of certain irrefutable, factual, geocentric truths.
Irrefutable, factual, and geocentric.
Those three things.
Okay.
Truths that are associated with observable and testable geocentric science, nature, common sense logic, and my personal everyday experience of reality.
I like that that's what he says about what he's going to talk about.
Yeah.
Knowing what he then, in fact, goes on to talk about.
Yeah. He says the process of connecting the dots is the science of syncretism, which is a very old science that we're not taught about anymore. So basically the idea of syncretism is if you look across multiple different lines of mythology, you find bits that correlate to one another, and therefore you're finding truth. It's kind of bringing little bits of different mythologies together and going, well, a bit of that and a bit of that. If that goes with that, that makes sense. So that must be true.
No.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah, but that's not true, though.
No. So he says...
these myths are measurable, observable, factual...
Measurable, testable, geocentric science.
Because you've got the idea to take it to religion, because this is something that I've got a little bit of experience on. The number of myths about a half-man, half-god hero.
Yep.
There's an awful lot of myths about a half-man, half-god hero who goes out there and does a thing. Doesn't make any of them true.
Yes, it does, Mike.
That it appears in multiple stories does not make any of it true.
But how would they know to repeat it?
Yeah.
Like, how would they know?
They're all saying the same thing.
How would
so
they come up with the same story?
It's almost like human beings talk to each other sometimes, isn't it?
How would they come up with a story that is not the same, but elements of it could be said to be the same if you just squint a little bit.
If you squint a little bit, yeah.
Because he goes on to say, all the cultures I was researching describe the universe and its creation in great detail. Not only that, almost all of them had a very similar story. Ranging from African tribes to the Americas to Europe to Asia, they all describe a creator of some kind. They all believe it was created by something or someone. At which point, a person in the audience yelled, God! Lovely, good heckle, good heckle.
And the guy on stage went, shit, I never thought of that.
Well, no, the guy on stage
Maybe
said,
it is.
They all described our universe as being birthed from some kind of cosmic egg. All of them. All of them.
I love how he's gone from almost all to all of them.
Well, he goes to all of them, every single one of them. All talk about our universe starting in an egg.
I mean, they don't.
And inside this egg, Earth is said to be flat and motionless, sitting on waters below of some kind, and heavens rotating above us.
So in the beginning, God created the heavens, the earth, and the egg. Yeah, no, he's right. Again, no, he is. He's right. Yeah.
Again, he says they all say this. Every single one of them, from Africa to Europe, all of them, egg. So he says, this also, he said, this recurring theme of the Earth being vast and having many other worlds, he said. Why does nobody ever talk about these other worlds or these other cultures? Why does nobody talk about those things that these myths are talking about? They also talk about the concept of the center of the world. He said, at the center of the world, all these different myths said there's a central pillar in the middle of the earth, and sometimes it's depicted as a tree of life or a sacred mountain or a paradise land or a realm. It's usually associated with being the cradle of humanity and life as we know it. Again, every single culture, from Africa to South America to Europe, all of them say we began at the center of the earth. And why would that be, Mike?
Because they're all wrong.
Well, it's because they assumed that they were in the middle because viewing distance is circular. If you can only see so far, you can see the same in all directions. You go all right, well, as far as I can see in all directions, we're in the middle. It's why we talk about being in the observable universe, because we can only observe so far. We don't know what's beyond it. So you could very easily, if you were not in if you're still in a primitive culture, come to the conclusion that you're in the middle. Because if you dropped into a massive field and you can't see the hedges, you're going to think, well, I'm going to be in the middle.
And the idea of they all talk about a creator.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that's not a surprise because we are, I am a man. I can use stone tools to make thing. Where did the world come from? Maybe a really big man with really big stone tools. It's not that also difficult.
Even if it was true that all these different mythologies that we'll come to talk about the universe being born from an egg, that doesn't mean that the universe was born from an egg.
No.
It just means that primitive cultures understood that stuff gets born out of eggs.
Yeah.
Here is chicken. It came from egg. Where did world come from? Maybe it come from egg. Yeah,
Big
exactly. We said, what if the universe, he asks, could be understood from an egg? A microcosm of a macrocosm. Nature, he said.
That was his little catchphrase, wasn't it?
And he had a little cheeky smile every time he said it. It was genuinely lovely.
Do we get to what laid the cosmic egg? Is there a cosmic chicken?
There's not a cosmic chicken. Because where would the cosmic chicken have come from, Mike?
There were many questions left unanswered by his theory.
I mean, this is page 2. I've got 10 pages of notes.
Okay. And a cosmic chicken isn't in any of them.
Not in any of them. And bear in mind, I've skipped a large amount of what he said in here. He said, nature's the main source of my theory. He said, if you look at the egg creation process in humans, the menstrual cycle, it happens in 4 stages, and he named the 4 stages.
Yeah.
So this is really important, he said, 4 stages. So even more interesting is that the female human egg is the largest bodily cell, made up of a nucleus at the centre, surrounded by 5 concentric rings.
Okay.
I like this because it is totally redefining how cells work. It's like, no, it's the nucleus is the important bit, and then there's a ring. It's like, no, that's the cell.
Yeah.
The nucleus is inside the cell.
Mm-hmm. He said
he only gets to 5 if he counts the cytosol as the.
And even with it, he put
ring.
like a chicken's egg as well, and he used it was like there's the yolk in the middle. And then there's just you get all the way to the edge. It's like ring. So you just talk about how the shell is made, basically. But he says the egg, all eggs have 5 concentric rings within them and a nucleus at the centre.
Okay.
The egg contains all of the elements of life, leaving the sperm the energy to activate this already perfectly prepared system.
Right.
Because that's how that works.
Now, with that in mind, is it conceivable that the observable natural egg reproductive system in humans could be a mirror reflection of the cosmic egg system of our universe?
Sure, why not? Why the fuck not?
Because just as an egg has a nucleus at the centre where life begins, so too does our universe have nucleus at its centre where life began, Earth.
So too does our globe-shaped planet with a core and an outer core and a mantle and a crust.
How many rings are there?
You know.
And he said, and just as our human egg is made up of 4 inner layers and a greater outer layer, the shell, perhaps so too does our universe have 4 inner layers and a greater outer shell.
Well, hang on. Because when he was talking about that, he did specifically say the human egg.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a shell.
It doesn't have a shell.
No.
He
very distinctly missing the shell.
Yeah, he very distinctly was. Yeah, he missed that. He then says, could the 4 phases of a woman's menstrual cycle be a mirrored reflection of our 4 times of the day?
There's 4 times of the day?
Yeah. Morning, afternoon, evening, night. Okay. Or the 4 phases of the moon. Or the 4 seasons of the earth. Is it all linked? These are facts.
All these things that we as humans have categorized and named.
Yeah, into 4s. Yeah, exactly. Perhaps like how the female human egg needs an external energy life form, sperm, to create life.
External energy.
It's perfectly formed inside. It needs external energy to activate it, Alice.
But the 4 seasons as well. That's a very kind of English-centric. There's countries where they don't have 4 seasons.
Nope.
We've got a wet, dry season, a dry season, and that's it.
Also, he was from South Africa, I think. So I suppose they probably do have decent seasons in South Africa. But it's certainly further up Africa. Between the tropics.
The tropics is where the kind of the 4-season model breaks down. You know.
So he said, now, could the 4 seasons, these are all facts, perhaps like how the female human egg needs an external life form, sperm, to create life, so too does our cosmic egg universe also need an external energy life force, which is consciousness, spirit, and souls. Many would say this is just conjecture and speculation.
Yep.
But nature doesn't lie. Nature tells us the truths we need to know. So
But he's still not talked about nature really at all there.
no, he hasn't, and he didn't really at any point.
At
talk
any
about nature.
point. He keeps saying,
Actually, he does. He comes
I'm going
back
to
to
talk
it later.
about these observable, measurable facts of nature, and then
Yep.
proceeds to not talk about nature at all.
I don't think he talked about one measurable fact
Oh, no,
in
God,
the
no.
3 hours that he gave it. Oh, honestly, it was beautiful. So we're now 28 minutes in. Okay.
So I don't disagree with his sum up there, where he said nature doesn't lie.
Yes.
But the statements that he made they're not
Reflect
contradictory.
nature.
You know, it's not. What's he
They
on about?
reflect human interpretation of nature.
Yeah, and
but
we could be wrong.
humans lie and fuck up and figure things
Yep.
out wrong all the fucking time. In fact, probably more often than not.
Yeah, exactly. So this is 28 minutes 50 seconds in on the recording that I've got of that I was listening to this talk. I've got to stress we were there, but there was a lot in this, and I needed reference materials to get back to it.
And it wasn't whereas throughout the actual lecture talks we were able to sit and take notes. It wasn't an easy thing to sit and take notes about. We did just have
it
to
was
sit
evening's
and listen.
entertainment with like a beer. And so we're half an hour in. At this point, he says, I want to briefly go through a few creation mythologies.
Briefly,
Okay? And he ran through the Vedics from India. There were apparently there were 4 islands with a tree in the centre and the 4 islands around it. He went through the Bible, how there was waters above and waters below, and how the Garden of Eden had a tree in the centre, and the garden had 4 rivers. So we're getting to 4s again there. So therefore, the Vedic and the Bible systems agree.
No mention of eggs.
No mention of eggs in the Bible, but he ignored that. He then went through
snakes lay eggs.
mythology from China, Japan, several different Native American tribes. Then he went to African tribes. He said one of the cultures said that the Earth had 4 wombs. And he said this is very important. He went through in all, I think it was 22 or 23 different mythologies. It took him an hour. This was not brief.
Wow.
So this was almost the entire first half of his talk. And we were sat there getting progressively more and more bored, thinking this is one of the dullest things that I've had to sit through. Had no idea where it was going next. And I wouldn't be talking about it if he stayed at, here's my interpretation of what the Hopi Indian tribe said, or Hopi Native American tribe said about such and such. He said life, began from the 4th world. In one of the narratives, he said it began from the 4th world at the centre of the world, and it began moving outwards toward the outer world, or wombs of Mother Earth. So life began at the centre and began moving outward across 4 worlds. And he said all that and said, I think that's self-explanatory. Moved on. He said in one African narrative, he said the 4th world is said to be hidden underground somewhere.
Right.
So there's a 4th realm underground. And people began long ago in that underground world. And then at some point, humans created some technology so that they could leave the 4th world and enter our outer world. And the Zulu described the world as having 4 different worlds, with a 5th secret world in the centre known as the middle place. So we can see that these different African beliefs all coalesce around the same idea.
Yeah.
And he's very happy with the African ones because he said, in Africa, this is where I'm from, so here's my people's belief. Then he said, according to the Kokobi, our egg-shaped universe has 9 layered realms within it.
That's not 4.
So, but it's 4 above and 4 below, with ours in the middle.
Oh, you numerologist
So as above, so 2 below. And so he went through all of this and said, I just had to show you all of that for the last hour of his first hour and a half. I had to show you that I'm not just plucking my cosmic egg theory out of my head.
I mean, you are. I quite like the idea that life begins in the middle and then moves towards one of the wombs, like the kind of marsupial model of job gestation.
I promise you we'll come back to that. We'll come back to that hard. Okay, so he said, but this isn't just in mythology. He said, even in modern cosmology, you had the physicist Georges Lemaitre, who put forth the idea that the Earth began in a cosmic egg, which is like a giant atom with all the mass of the universe within it. He said God created everything and put it within this atom. But of course, his theory was hidden, and after a while, they didn't really talk about it.
I mean, that's not a giant atom, it's a singularity, and it's not giant. It is neither giant nor an atom.
Yes.
It is neither of those things.
Yeah, and the reason we don't talk about the giant atom or the cosmic egg theory as being Georges Lemaitre's theory, because someone offhandedly and dismissively referred to it as some sort of Big Bang.
Yeah.
And the name stuck. So what he's describing is the Big Bang, which when you know anything about the Big Bang, it's pretty clearly not a cosmic egg situation.
That's true.
That is not a cosmic egg.
Do you have to keep it in the cosmic fridge, or does it depend on which country you're from?
I think the Native American mythology said the cosmic egg needs to be kept in the fridge, whereas the European one said you keep it out, but you don't need to wash it.
Yeah, it's fine.
So at this point, he presented, and I've buried the lead here, because while all this is happening, in the middle of the room is a massive white sheet with something underneath it.
Ooh.
And the something is about 4 foot tall, sat on top of a table.
Okay.
And it's big. It's substantial.
Huge.
It's in everyone's way. And this is something that that the journalist we spoke to
Got
said,
the little preview of.
I saw this and it made me laugh.
Okay.
At this point, he said, may I present to you my geocentric model of the universe, which is what I think it looks like. It's based on mythology. It's based on nature. It is the cosmic egg.
Wow.
At this point, one single person applauded. It was incredible. It was just like...
What on earth is
Would
that?
you like to try and describe what it looks like, Mike?
So we've got a kind of disc at the bottom with what looks like shaving foam on it. And then there's this kind of translucent plastic strips going over the top, making arches.
Yep.
Yeah.
Making a series of concentric arches. The land masses look kind of vaguely earthy. But I'm not 100%. But then at the top you've got space, which is a flat diamond with light shining through it.
Yeah.
The kind of old, like the way we used to think that space was kind of an outer dome with holes poking through, and what's the light coming from? Oh, it doesn't matter. It's not a problem. So stars are just holes poking through a little, a big black sheet.
The luminaries,
Yeah.
But
and then we've got some orbs stuck to the transparent
what might those be,
arch
Mike?
dome things. Are they other planets?
They're the planets.
They are
that is
the planets. Or suns and moons.
Yeah. Those are meant to be lit up, but he did say, but he'd left it so long that some of them had gone out.
Some of them have gone out. Good.
Yeah, so pull the sheet off and he apologised for the lighting not working, and then one of the planets fell off.
Yeah, Mercury had fallen off and landed in North America. Here's a close up. So when you see that close up, Mike, what are you getting from that close up?
So it has. We've got we got America stuck in the middle there, haven't we?
Yeah.
But is there an inset bit in the the middle there?
Yeah.
Why is there an inset bit in the middle?
That's the North Pole.
That's the North Pole. I'm going to come to it a bit more. But when we first saw it, I wonder if you can see on the model.
Yeah,
you can see on the original model, it had a little bunch of cotton wool stuck in it.
That's cotton wool, is it?
So
clouds, not ice.
They're clouds. Okay, yes.
Not ice in the North Pole.
Concentric
clouds.
rings of clouds.
Yeah.
Forming some sort of shell.
This is the Earth. This is additional land
I've got a lot more about that, so we'll go into it. So he did describe all of that. So you can hold those in front of you, Mike.
Okay.
And put them both up so you can see them
obviously
both.
we'll post these in various places.
They're
in articles. And
they're in my Gizmodo article where I wrote some of this talk up. So listeners may have seen these images.
So in the centre we've got the North Pole right in the centre.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the middle, in the nucleus.
In the nucleus,
like.
yes. Very much so in the nucleus.
And then we have one concentric ring outside, and that is Earth, and that is surrounded by a ring of cotton wool.
Yeah.
But then we have more concentric rings with more land masses with shapes he's just made up.
Right. Yes, we do, Mike. Yes, we do, Mike. Okay, so he said, this is what I think the cosmic egg is. They've got these big electromagnetic torus fields on the outside.
Torus fields.
So that's what these plastic strips
what
are.
the plastic strips
But
are.
these wouldn't be a single strip. These would be
a dome.
A concentric dome.
Yes.
This plastic strip is just illustrating the dome. He said, so there's a torus field outside, and like all the mythologies and the scriptures, there are waters above us, which are the heavens, and there are waters below us. He said that the earth is divided into 4 concentric rings of land, 4 wombs, remember?
Okay.
There's the wombs. The centre, where everything starts, the North Pole there, where we are, which is the second womb, a third womb on the outside, and a fourth womb further than that.
I'm just hearing you mispronounce the word room at this point.
Okay. He said, I think each of these wombs is covered by their own torus field.
Right.
So these would be concentric domes. So once you're in the middle, you'll believe several different domes. Okay? So the further out you are, dome over every one of these concentric rings.
Yeah.
These are what a lot of flat earthers call the dome. So each of them has their own dome, their own torus field, and each of them has their own solar system. So we have the sun and moon that we observe when we look up.
That's not the solar system, but okay.
The outer realm has Venus and Mars as the sun and moon of their solar system.
That is not.
The third realm, the sun and moon, are Saturn and Jupiter.
I mean, the clues in the name was solar system. It involves a sun.
So above all of that, we have the heavens, the firmament. Which is the stars there, Mike.
Yeah, the kind of diamond-shaped ceiling to this rather elaborate model that
Well, you say elaborate.
would have made someone very, very happy to present as a science fair project when they were, 8 to 10 years old.
Or Anthea Turner presenting it on Blue Peter in the mid-90s. So the heavens are above, they're above the earth, as above, so below. So I don't know if he also thinks that this whole model is mirrored on the underside as well.
Yeah.
None of that's totally clear because he can't have built a model that tall. So he said, we're in here, in the middle.
I mean, he could have done.
He could have done.
That would have been amazing.
It would have been amazing.
I mean, this is already amazing. So we're in here and we're looking up, he says. And we see all the wandering planets and the shimmering light. He said, I think you're seeing the solar systems of these further out worlds. So when you're looking up, you'd be seeing Jupiter, which is on the Taurus field of the furthest realm.
Yes.
And as it's moving around, that's why you can see Jupiter through the different Taurus fields.
Yes.
Okay, they look like light and water, he says, which is a weird esoteric point. That's probably a bit of a tricky one to get into. Because you're looking through different atmospheres. You're looking through different electromagnetic fields. I don't know what these fields are made of. They might be plasma. There's a lot of videos coming out about plasma and the dome, which is a watery substance. So perhaps they're made of water of some sort. Electromagnetic water.
Sure. Why not? Why the fuck not?
Okay, he said, of course, at the centre, there is a realm. So that's the North Pole there. He said, all the scriptures say the Garden of Eden, call it what you like. That's hidden like a crater continent underneath a cloud of some sort, a heaven of some sort. He said, so I think if we flew over the North Pole, and he said, no one can fly over the North Pole, of course, as you know, because electronics don't work if you go directly over the North Pole. But if you were able to fly over there, you'd see a swirling white cloud. I think that's heaven. I think it's the heaven that's sitting above the central realm at the centre in this crater continent.
Just a quick question. Can we fly over the North Pole?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd have to charter a flight because most planes don't do it. Because
No, they do. There are flights that
are there commercial flights
that go over the North Pole.
Yeah.
I literally looked it up today.
Oh, nice.
Because I was like, that can't be right that we can't fly over the North Pole. Like, that just can't be right.
I mean, I was prepared to accept it on the grounds that navigation will be difficult because your compass will be pointing at magnetic north. So. Yeah.
But
I can understand why that would be a difficult thing. But if we fix that problem, if we solve that problem, then great.
Yeah.
He's just straight talking shit.
yeah.
We don't do it over the South Pole so much
because there's less landmass in the south anyway.
But we do it. We do fly over the North Pole.
Yeah. But no, if you flew over, you'd see a white swirling cloud. That's what that white stuff is in the North Pole when you see pictures of the North Pole.
No, it's not.
That's swirling cloud, mate.
No, it's not.
That's why on his original model, he's got a big wodge of cotton wool in the centre.
Okay.
That he takes away to show you the light underneath, which is the Garden of Eden 4 realms.
Okay.
Because it's 4 with 4 rivers coming out of them, like in one of the other mythologies.
So the Garden of Eden's at the North Pole?
Garden of Eden's at the North Pole.
Right. That's a bit nippy, isn't it?
So he says here, I think that there's heaven above the central realm. Right now, at the North Pole, I think there are people there. Civilizations there. And beyond the Antarctic and the South Pole, there are civilizations beyond those two.
Right.
Okay. I believe there are definitely no aliens with funny faces like we see in TV, but there are definitely extraterrestrials. Break that down. Extra means more. Terrestrial means terrain. So beings from terrain beyond the space that we're in, from outer space. This ring is the space we're in, he says, pointing to the Earth. So beyond that...
Yeah.
That's extraterrestrial.
This is like Freeman on the land scale kind of.
We'll come there. We'll come back to that.
Interpreting the meaning of words, isn't it?
So that's where they are. They're not in outer space. They're in outer space. They're not up in the sky somewhere. So I believe in space, but it's not up in the luminaries, in the firmament. Mm-hmm. We can't go to the luminaries. We know that. These are suns and moons and solar systems. We can't go there. We don't understand what they are or how they work, but for sure we can't go there. But we can go to outer space if we want, and also within. Okay.
Yes, where the Garden of Eden is.
Where the Garden of Eden is.
I mean, I'd have eaten the fucking apple to get out of there as well, wandering around naked at the fucking North Pole.
So that was his first half. So that was
Is that when we break?
That's when we had a break. That was a very exciting turn. When the model was unleashed, it's like, oh, I'm so glad I came to this. That was the half that probably most closely resembled reality.
Really? Okay.
So we come back at about 1 hour 54. He said, right, I'm going to try and get through this as quickly as I can. I know it's been a long day. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to go through. So he says, the top up here from a side-on view, this looks like a concentric ring of or a pyramid of sorts. Because you've got like a dome and a dome and a dome, and it's like a pyramid of sorts, he says, because it's a dome shape. If we use the principle of as above, so below, right?
Yes,
That's also what it's like beneath us.
So you have a dome on top of a dome, like some sort of sphere shape.
Well, like a cosmic egg.
Okay.
That's the cosmic egg he's on about.
Yeah.
Okay. But I love the way we've got the principle as above, so below. Where's that come from? He only goes from observable nature.
Yeah.
There's nowhere in nature that as above, so below holds. Okay. So,
Well, apart from there are things do form spheres in nature quite a lot because it's
but not under the room that as above, so below, in the sense that anything above has to be replicated below. No, that's never a thing. That is not a thing.
I mean, it's not even a thing if you just look at humans.
No.
We don't have that.
We don't have horizontal
we only have
symmetry.
bilateral symmetry.
Yeah.
We don't have.
As to the left, so to the right.
Yeah, exactly. So beneath there's another concentric layered ring. He said, we see a lot of pyramids in ancient cultures. I saw that and I thought, is there something to it? Are they trying to tell us where we are? Is it their way of saying where we are? So the Earth is flat, but there's an element of a pyramid in there, particularly the circular ones, like the Mexican one, the South Korean ones, the Nigerian ones. So that was building pyramids was the ancients' way of saying you're in an egg.
Yeah.
Mate. Egg, innit?
I mean, it's obvious on the face of it now he comes to say so.
Yeah.
But pyramids also famously identical above and below.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, it's also just the most efficient way of stacking a lot of stuff in the way that it won't run off.
Yeah.
What you're describing is a pile. That's all you do. It's a pile. He said the Earth, it looks like it's floating on waters.
It does.
I mean, it does in his model.
It does in his model, but, he made that up, so that's fine.
So because the Earth in his model looks like it's floating on waters, perhaps this is where we get the concept of maritime law from.
Oh, he is going full Freeman on the land on us.
Yeah.
So we all know that the courts and judicial systems use something called maritime law of the sea.
No, we don't know that.
Why do we use something called law of the sea?
We don't.
Perhaps Mother Earth is the mother ship floating on the cosmic waters. And the elites who wrote those laws knew it. We are all citizens of this ship. That's where citizenship comes from.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
We also know a ship's crew has seamen. Seamen need passes to travel between ports, which is where we get passports from. I mean, that bit's true, and it's weird to see that. But actually, sorry, I'll give the full quote. We also know a ship's crew has seamen. Seamen need passes to travel between ports, which is where passports come from. Perhaps. So he perhaps is that bit.
The bit that's actually
that's true, yeah.
factually true.
Maybe, just speculate. Just throw that out there. He said, on arrival at a port, a ship's crew of seamen berth their ship into a canal onto a dock, which where goods are received by the dockmaster and are certified. Does that sound familiar? When a human being, seaman, is
Sure.
is birthed through the canal of its mother and is received by a doctor, who then certifies the arrival of goods. What we observe in nature. Is there a parallax to reality? The universe?
No.
Okay. So, he then goes on to say, there were once giant mountains on the Earth. We see this said a lot.
I mean, there still are.
No, giant mountains.
Like bigger than mountains, but more giant.
Okay. Right.
He then says, look at the placenta of a baby. It looks like a tree.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure it does.
Then he points to his model and says, look at the pyramid Earth. The one that he made.
Yes.
Said, this looks like a giant tree stump.
Because you made it to look like that.
He said, this model looks like a tree stump. So I wonder if the Earth we are living on is a giant tree stump. And the Earth was once a huge giant tree. This took me back to the movie Avatar.
Oh, good God.
I thought, are they trying to tell us something there? Are we living on a dead tree right now?
Because for some reason, the elites who rule the world like to drop hints.
To James Cameron.
Say, I tell you what, we'll get Jimmy to make us a film just to clue everyone in. And so when they don't get it, we can laugh.
He comes back to Avatar again. We'll talk about Avatar again in a bit. So he said they also depict the Earth as a giant rock. And we know that mountains apparently used to be giant trees. So all rocks used to be trees.
No!
So obviously, the Earth that is a rock, perhaps that too was a giant tree. The mother of all trees, just like the ancient mythologies were saying.
No!
Now, he said, I want to talk about the shape. People can say the square, it's a circle, this or that, but my reference is in nature. What does nature say? We can say it might be a square or a rectangle. It might be, I don't know. But if I look at nature, everything in nature is circular. The Fibonacci sequence, the pi ratio, they all have this concentric circular notion. Why would Mother Earth, the mother of nature, not follow that rule?
I mean, it
did.
does.
It does. It does. Yeah,
it does.
It's a globe. Yeah. It's if we observe it everywhere in nature, why wouldn't Mother Earth exactly be that? That's why I think the Earth is a circular shape and no other shape. It's what nature is dictating.
It is a circular shape, a nice three-dimensional circle.
Then he says, however, I'm not saying there aren't other shapes like squares. There definitely are.
I mean, I was questioning my own sense of reality then, because I'm sure I've seen things that aren't circles.
Yeah, well, there are definitely squares. There are definitely 100% squares.
I'm glad to have had his permission.
He said, there is a square element to our reality, but it's more metaphysical than physical. The spiritual world, you like, or the world of our solar systems. Perhaps they work in a square motion. I've got a random note here. He said, what is an angel? An angel is an angle of light.
No!
Okay, so an angel is an angle of light.
An angel is a fictional creature.
It's an angle of light, Mike.
Fictional.
He said, I don't think we are alone. I'm pretty sure we're not. When
No.
I became a flat earther, it confused me because I was heavily into aliens. So I didn't think aliens exist in the way that we've been taught, but there is an element of other beings. The Nephilim, the fallen angels. Where did they come from? They were extraterrestrials from the extra terrains of man that visited us once upon a time and probably will again.
If Earth is like a tree stump,
Yeah.
is there a forest? Are there other stumps?
Interesting. Not sure.
Is there a forest of stumps, and could we go stump to stump?
We'll come back to going stump to stump.
Oh, okay, stump to stump.
There's an element of that to come back to. He said there's a lot of deceptions. There are fake aliens for sure. We're being primed for something, but there are genuine other extraterrestrial human beings. He said we are not the only human race. There are other types of human races.
What does that mean?
We'll come back to that.
100
It does-
meters,
it goes into-
200 meters, 400 meters.
He did talk about why humans shouldn't be racing. We're the human race, but we shouldn't be racing. He said there's too much evidence to ignore that we've been visited by other people of other races. Just look at the works of Eric von Daniken, for example.
Oh, good God.
The ancient aliens, the paintings and caves. He said there's a time for everything, a time to be born, a time to die, a time to plant, a time to uproot. This is a microcosm of a macrocosm. We also have seasons in the universe. Seasons of the day, seasons of the lunar month, the solar year, the cosmic existence, and so forth and so forth. God or the creator has put a season in for everything. Within that is order. If this is a creation, there has to be order. That's why every being in the cosmic order, the cosmic egg universe, has laws to follow. That's universal laws. These govern all the things in the universe, okay? So there are universal laws. JP Morgan said millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. This is what he meant. If you know you need to know what the universal laws are, and if you know what they are and know how to use them, the sun shines down on everyone the same. God doesn't favour.
I thought it just meant they had more money than sense.
Yeah, maybe. He said if you have a good person who's a farmer and he doesn't know anything about the seasons, no matter how much he prays to God, his crops won't grow. Where if you get an evil person who's a farmer who knows his way through the seasons, his crops are going to grow even though the good guy is like, oh, I'm praying to God, where's my crops? And that's because he understands, the evil guy might understand how to use the universal laws, because billionaires use astrology. It's not an evil thing, astrology, because it's the stars. Understanding the stars isn't evil because it's God creations, it's nature. So why would it be evil?
And the stars are a flat disc of... not a disc even on his model, it's a fucking diamond. But
Flat diamond above us, above the domes, the concentric domes. Okay, so we got the universal laws outside, then we have natural laws, so all the celestial beings, the higher, the divine, the angels, they all follow the universal laws as well. But on Earth, in the physical world, there are laws that govern the natural order of things, the natural laws. Okay? They're dictated by the sun, the moon, the stars, all the things in nature, things we can't tamper with, even though they're trying to with chemtrails and all that.
Just throw it out there. Why not?
These are natural laws. Then below that, there's the common laws. Do you remember the common laws? You'd switched off even in his talk by this point, I think. Within each of the domains, each realm, they have their own common laws. So here on the Earth, whenever certain things happen, like the deluge or the flood or whatever, those who are in power then got together to determine the laws that we need to govern what happens in this reality after that. And we all have to live by them. Okay? But each of those different realms might have a different common law. But they all live by natural law under the universal law. Then we've got legal laws under the government. So governments saying we want laws for the people to govern who they are, man-made laws for countries and continents. They trickle down to municipal laws, etc., right down to the laws you have in your house. Okay, so that's all of that there. He talks about how there's a prophecy from the Hopi tribe that says when the earth is ravaged and animals are dying, a new tribe of people will come into the earth of many colours, creeds and classes. And by their actions and deeds, they'll make the earth green again. They'll renew. They'll be known as the warriors of the rainbow. Indigo children, if you like. So every one of us in this room, every flat earther is a rainbow child because they're coming together for the common good. They know something isn't right, and they're the ones trying to get to the bottom of it. And the Hopi predicted flat earthers thousands of years ago by saying the warriors of the rainbow are flat earthers.
Sure they did.
So at this point, he said, I was doing this research. The big question is, why is this happening and where is it heading? Can we map out the future by understanding the past? So I started looking at ancient cultures about prediction. They all had a calendar or a clock for prediction. The Mayan calendar, the Dharma wheel, Chinese wheel of 24 wheel of time, the zodiac. So he wanted to decode the calendar that the universe was based on. And he came up with his own cosmic clock, at which point he spun he had another sheet over a blackboard, and he showed this.
It's his clock.
That's a clock?
Or his calendar.
So he's got a kind of a yin-yang symbol in the middle.
Yeah.
And then as it radiates out, he's got the signs of the zodiac, and then in a ring around the yin-yang. And then the signs of the zodiac again slightly offset from the first lot, and then again slightly offset from the first lot, and then again in a series of rings going all the way around to the outside. But then we stop doing the signs of the zodiac, and then we do the time of day for some reason. So we've got starting at 6 o'clock at the top, naturally, where it goes. So we go 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, etc. But it's 24 hours on the clock, which I like. I like 24 hours on the clock.
Keep looking.
Because the idea of 12 hours on a clock and then go around twice is a stupid idea.
It is a stupid idea.
Just put, 24 hours on the clock.
He's also got 12 hours on the clock.
He does, but
he's got both 24 and 12-hour systems working in tandem.
It's ridiculous. But then he's got the seasons for some reason. So after that comes, so we got zodiac, time, and then seasons. So we got autumn, winter, spring, and summer. Yeah, they're all there. Good. And then the months of the year around the outside with more fucking zodiac. And then in the meantime, we've got gold, iron, bronze, and silver just flapping about there.
Yeah.
He does explain. He explains
for
the
the
clock
bands.
in detail.
Does he?
I'll try and skip through it because I recognise this is long. And it was so we're about 2 hours 14 minutes into his 4-hour talk.
The fuck is Cosmic Night?
We'll come to it, mate. I think.
Oh, Cosmic Days at the other side.
Cosmic Day.
I see what he's done there.
In the universe. So there's day in the day in the universe. Okay, so
2:15 meridian midnight. Oh, you fucking.
Yeah. Okay. So he said,
Right.
keep that in front of you as well. So let's put this in the melange of visuals that we've got going on. So he said, I'm going to try and decode the calendar of the universe, and it'll give me answers about where we are, why this is happening, and where we're going. And this is when he said, 2 hours 14, he said, I'm going to ask you to put your seatbelts on for this one, because the things that I'm about to say are pretty outlandish.
Really?
At this point.
But I hope the research
I mean, to be fair, he wasn't wrong. It did get more outlandish.
The thing is, he wasn't wrong. So, first, he created a clock or a calendar, so he uses nature. How does time work in nature? We all know that the sun works on a 24-hour clock. In nature, the sun works on a 24-hour clock.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does, Mike.
No, it doesn't.
So he created this 24-hour ring, 24 sections all the way around. Because he said, if you look at a lot of ancient calendars, they're all based on a 24 system. At which point I said to Alice, I think he's thinking of advent calendars. And I'd be really annoyed if at the end of his talk there isn't a chocolate for us all. He said in 24 there's 4 times of the day: sunrise, sunset, midday, midnight. So that's all part of there. That's microcosm of macrocosm. In the universe cycle of time, there's a sunrise, a sunset, a midday, and a midnight period, okay? So on the outside of his clock, he put the 12-hour clock and a 24-hour clock on the inside. 12 on the outside, because 12 is very symbolical.
He said symbolical so many times, and it was driving me insane every time.
And that's not a word, is it?
You basically cheered when he said symbolic. You went, he said symbolic, he said symbolic. He said, but 12 is very symbolical because there's 12 disciples of Jesus, 12 months of the earth, 12 signs of the zodiac. I mean, the signs of the zodiac are very much tied into the 12 times of the year, 12 months of the year.
12 pennies to a shilling.
Yeah.
You know, why not?
I mean, the reason we use 12 is it's quite handy and useful to divide by, to divide into lots of different things, but that's fine. But he said, why? Because nature doesn't lie. That's in nature, it doesn't lie. The zodiac, he said, he's got the outside, he's put the 12 signs of the zodiac, because that's in nature. That's why the signs of the zodiac.
It's not in nature.
It's in nature, Alice. It doesn't lie.
Humans made them up.
Everyone can
based on nature, but they still made them up.
Everyone can take a camera if you know how to read astrology, and you can see the zodiac in your own, on your own, in your own experience. That's not a conspiracy, that's a fact.
But what about all the other constellations that don't make up part of the zodiac?
You can also see those. He said that mirrors our 12-month system here on Earth. So, like they've got 12 months on Earth, months in the cosmic solar system.
So something that we made up's got 12 of, and something else that we made up also has 12 of.
So therefore, the universe is in 12.
Yeah.
So he said in 24,000 years, we have 12 months dictated by the 12 constellations. Don't know why. He got the 24,000 years because 24,000.
Okay.
It's okay. So there's
He's got a weird way of understanding.
So 24,000 is because 24 is important because 24 hours. And lots of ancient calendars have 24.
But we made up the length of an hour.
No. So 24 is important. So it can't just be 24 years in the universal clock, because 24 is a really short time for a universe. So 24,000 years is about right.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Not even a multiple of 24 to the 24 or something. Let's just stick some noughts on the end.
Yeah, we do worse than that later. So just like we got seasons on Earth, we also have the seasons governed by the constellations over the 24,000 years. So there are 12 seasons. These are the Iron Age, the Bronze Age, the Silver Age, and the Gold Age.
The Gold Age?
The Gold Age.
Okay.
Okay, these are the 12 seasons. The Iron Age, Bronze Age, Silver Age, and Gold Age.
They're not seasons.
They're not 12. In the Iron Age, humans are at their lowest amount of consciousness.
What?
They're using their least amount of conscious energy and DNA or whatever, he said.
What the fuck are you talking about?
He said they're using the least amount of conscious energy and DNA or whatever, physically, mentally, consciously, spiritually. Okay, Iron Age, low. The Vedics believe then we awaken at the Bronze Age and we get more conscious. We start to question and figure things out. We evolve, basically.
Okay.
Then after a while, we get the Silver Age. We're becoming demigods.
Of course, I mean, that's naturally.
Because we're starting to grasp our full potential, what we are, who we are. By the time you get to the Golden Age, you are a god, or as close to a god in a way. As close as you're going to be.
The Golden Age is the Golden...
the God Age.
That's in the Vedic tradition, apparently. I'm not sure if it is. I didn't look it up. I'm not totally sure he looked it up. But he said, because that's all there, he said, I thought I just had to mirror this. So that's why it's in his there. That's why we've got gold, iron, bronze, silver, okay?
Just had to.
So you got 12 constellations. He said, those of you who aren't into astrology, you should look into it, please. Billionaires use astrology. There's a reason why. It's really important to learn about it, because once you learn about it, many things come into play. Health, finance, everything. Everything is electromagnetic energy. If we are in the center month, the energy in the world is at a central frequency. And if you know that frequency, you can do certain things at certain dates. This is why the elites, when they do their false flags, they do them on certain dates. You always see a pattern.
Oh, God.
Because they're using the laws of the natural universe.
I'm fed up with the whole elite narrative as well. That's very pervasive in popular culture at the moment.
Yeah.
This whole idea that there is the elites trying to keep the ordinary person held down.
Yeah. So we've got the 4 human ages, the 4 ages of man: gold, silver, bronze, and iron. The clock is mirrored to the Earth. There are 4 realms on the Earth. There are 4 sections inside the clock.
And 7 seas. What are you talking about? 4 realms on the Earth?
Look at the model. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, yeah,
Okay.
just like a human egg.
Just like a human egg.
I see.
So,
With its shell there.
With a shell on the outside.
you've got to stick with us, because this is where the seatbelt has to be firmly on. Each of the realm is following its own system. Everything begins from the center. So if you talk about the beginning of life, everything began from the center ring. That's the first realm to be created, the Garden of Eden. They've got their own solar system, their own celestial seasons: Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Taurus. That went round for a 24,000-year cycle. I converted the 24 hours into 24,000 years. I might be wrong, but I'm using nature. The microcosm of the macrocosm.
Clearly so,
Okay.
yeah.
So that's 24,000 years. Within that, they've experienced 4 ages: bronze, iron, silver, gold. These happen like a sine wave, apparently, but I don't think he knows what a sine wave is, because that was circular and a sine wave isn't. Time repeats itself. It's got a reset, and that reset is a deluge or a flood or whatever. So a new realm is then created, and the cycle continues.
Right.
If you look, you can see the Fibonacci sequence on his diagram, apparently, as well, with the Iron Ages, because the outer realm, when it comes into being, that's always one behind the center, and the next realm will always be a season behind, 3,000 years behind, okay?
Okay, yeah.
Right? So when we talk about time travel, that's what time travel is.
No, that makes no sense.
The beings at the center are 3,000 years ahead of us, according to me.
At which point I full on laughed out loud.
Yeah, I just went, and him saying, after all of that, that's what time travel is, according to me. Good. They said, when that ends, after 24,000 years, another realm is created. The center one is then pushed out, and the spiral repeats itself. Okay? So you've made your realm in the center, it goes through 24,000 years, and then it's pushed out.
Oh, so it's pushed out and a new one grows in the middle?
Yes.
Okay.
But not in the middle.
Not quite in the middle. We'll come to exactly where.
Right.
But yeah, this is the next part is how I think it came into being. I might be wrong, he says, okay?
Almost certainly is.
So at the beginning of creation, there was one realm, the central realm. This realm lasted for 24,000 years. When that ended, another was created. When you look at the ancient scriptures, we see the first race of beings were called the Polarians. They were the first ones. They were in pole position at the North Pole.
God.
Polarians, okay? This is what he said, including the, okay? This is why I spent so long fucking transcribing this, because it's incredible. When that cycle ended, the central realm was pushed out from the center and a new realm was created, unfolding outwards. This new realm was what the Greeks talk about as the Hyperboreans. They were the second root race. Cosmic day number 2, and the days are called epochs. So every 24,000 years, that's an epoch. Okay?
Sure.
When that epoch ended, the 2 realms were pushed out, and a third realm was built, the third epoch. That unfolded outward as well. That was the Lemurians. Okay, this is another root race, a race of beings that were created to come in and enjoy the experience of life in the universe.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Why not? By who?
Well, by the Polarians.
All right, so who created the Polarians then?
Well, let's not start pushing that domino.
Oh, okay.
When that epoch ended, the fourth epoch was created, which is the Atlanteans.
Ooh.
I think our current realm is the Atlantean realm. We are Atlanteans. This is Atlantis. We are Atlantis, Mike.
This is not Atlantis. I have seen Justice League.
You're the only one who has.
I was literally the only one who was there, but that's true.
So he said, I think the Polarians, they're always at the pole position. They're always at Mount Maru. At no point did he explain what Mount Maru was, but I've subsequently figured out he means that's the mountain at the North Pole.
Okay.
So the North Pole is a crater realm with a big mountain in the centre, because remember you talked about all those ancient traditions having mountains at the centre?
Yes.
That apparently is Mount Maru.
Which was probably an old tree, because I also had trees at the centre.
It was the old tree, because it was the Garden of Eden. Tree in the centre of the Garden of Eden. That tree died. It's now a mountain. It's Mount Maru.
Okay. Trees turn into
mountains.
Mountains.
Trees turn into
mountains.
He isn't the only flat earther that believes that.
And there is an element...
There is a genuine flat earth belief that mountains are old trees.
But to say this tree has become fossilized or calcified,
yes,
and therefore it is a rock. All right, fair enough. Therefore, all rocks. What? Yeah, don't talk bollocks.
No, yeah, it's exactly. So yeah, you've got the Polarians pole position. They're on Mount Maru, which is situated in the crater realm of the North Pole, under the swirling cloud. Those are the guardians of the galaxy. Okay, they're always there.
I've definitely seen that.
And he was joking when he said that. He said those are the guardians of the galaxy, if you like. A little chuckle in the room. Okay, so the next realm out from us. Hang on, no, I can't even follow.
The next one coming.
Well, no, not yet. So the next realm. So you got the Polarians. The next realm with the Hyperboreans, the first outer land, the Garden of Eden. They've been pushed all the way out. Okay, so sorry, yes, the Garden of Eden was at the center realm.
Yes,
and then it got pushed out.
Yes.
So what is the Garden of Eden? Is actually the furthest out realm.
Oh, so
because it starts in the middle.
It's now smeared around the outside.
Yeah. So I guess you've got Mount Maru.
But
and then land grows around it to form the central circle.
Yeah.
And then
the Polarians just hang out on Mount Maru and stay there.
It's actually bears quite a lot of resemblance to a kind of plate tectonic.
I thought it bore more resemblance to an incredibly complex strategic board game, especially when he's describing it as like, right, now, you are the Atlanteans, and your task is to overtake the Lemurians before the Polarians come down from Mount Maru.
Is this one of those board games that Adge spends 3 days learning the rules before anyone gets to put a piece on the board?
I genuinely think so. So yeah, Hyperboreans, Garden of Eden, pushed out all the way to the furthest realm. The next one in there, the Lemurians. So he said, so if we were to meet a Lemurian, we go like, oh, you must be a Lemurian or a Hyperborean or whatever. Because, of course, we are the Atlanteans, the Atlantean race. There is a fifth race that was seeded 6,000 years ago. So we're into the next epoch, the current epoch, when the last deluge happened. So when Noah's flood happened.
Okay.
Which he's attributed 6,000 years, I think, something like that. So there's a fifth race.
which is not a universal belief amongst flat earthers.
No.
Not even because some flat earthers believe that
It was
Noah was
4,000 years ago.
No, 1,000 years ago.
1,000 year ago.
Yeah.
So, Mike, there's a fifth race of man coming.
Right.
What's that fifth race called?
Oh, Christ, if I know. What's a fifth race of man? Mm-hmm. What's the fifth race of man?
The next ones. The ones who are 3,000 years
the
ahead of
ones
us.
that are more advanced than the previous ones.
No.
The fifth race of man are the Aryan race.
Oh! Wow.
The legit Aryan race.
Wow.
We're currently in the Aryan epoch.
Good God.
So he says...
You sure they're the fifth and not the third?
It's definitely realm or Reich. He said, I'm sure you all know about the Aryan topic. I think of all the races that are in this realm right now, you can trace their traits to certain races. Okay? He said, I'm willing to bet that if we went to one of the realms and we saw the Hyperboreans, we'd say, oh, I see where the Chinese get their looks from. What? They look awfully Chinese-ish. Chinese-ish? This is why I'm transcribing verbatim large parts of what he said. And if we met the Lemurians, we'd see them and say, I see. I think that's where the black people get their looks or their traits from.
Oh, God.
Now, I will point out that Martin Kenny is from South Africa and he's black.
Yeah.
Okay, so when he's talking about this, it's not like a white supremacist, or at least not, if it's a white supremacist, someone who's got an internalized system of white supremacy and not realize it. So he said, and of course the Aryans, they're the white race. I'm willing to bet if we went to the centre right now, we'd see the Aryans, the new root race, and we go, oh, I see where white people get their traits from. Presumably those traits are taking over all the other lands. I don't know. This is how I explain all the different races that have been seeded over time. Okay, he said this is always quite a sore topic because people associate their race with their physical body. But of course, this is not the real us. The real you is the consciousness within you. We've all been different races. I've been white, I've been Lemurian, I've been Hyperborean because it's all part of the cycle of life.
Well, so we're full on reincarnation now as well. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so death doesn't exist. We're all energy. That can never die. You must go into a new form, have a new experience of something. So don't get too caught up. And I'm this race, I'm that race. Technically, we're all of the same race. We go back to the human race. And we're all racing. We shouldn't be racing. There's no race. We're all one. Some of us who are now awakening at the new age, the Bronze Age, we're discovering things. We're starting to realise that instead of fighting over black and white, there are much more important things. So in the race of spirits, we're the forerunners. We are the Polarians in pole position, the flat earthers. We're waking up first. And so we discovered flat earth before other people. When we're talking about seeding races or spirits, there are certain spirits at the start that follow, and some spirits begin the race in each realm. And I wonder if flat earthers are the early birds catching that first worm of the new season. Everyone else is ignorant, living their old paradigm. We're in a different realm of existence. We have an awakening of some kind we're questioning. So he said, at midnight, and he said, I've divided it into autumn at the top, summer, spring, and winter, divided into 4 times the day. We've got different ages. So at 1800 in autumn, in the fall season, when things fall, when the sun falls, that's symbology.
Yeah.
That's when we have our reset. That's when a new epoch is created, a new realm. That's when we have the flood. So to understand where we're going, look at the last one, the fourth flood, the Atlantean epoch, the birthing of the Aryan epoch. All of the races, all the lands were in their golden age. There were no Taurus fields in the golden age. Okay? That's the important thing to bear in mind. So during the Golden Age, the Taurus field, the domes,
the plastic domes with planets glued to them,
all retract.
Retract?
They all retract, so there are no Taurus fields. So once that happens, you can all just move about. All the lands, they're all together. We're all coexisting. That's why you end up with different races in different lands. That's why you see Hyperboreans and Lemurians and Aryans here, because there were no Taurus fields, so they could just wander about. It was all fine. So there's that.
Wait, is he in the past or the future there? Sorry.
No idea. I think he's in the past.
He's in fucking Fantasyland.
So in the past, the Taurus fields disappeared.
Yes, at the end of the Atlantean epoch and the birth of the Aryan epoch, there were no Taurus fields.
They vanish and then they come back again.
Yeah, no, they grow back again. When everything starts to fall again.
Between the epochs.
Yeah, they disappear for a bit, and that's the.
Yeah, I remember him saying that now. Yeah,
that's the summer when everyone's in their golden age. That's a summer golden age. It's when everyone's at full DNA activation. Okay. So
DNA activate. like just let that slide.
So the Aryan race, they've started their Iron Age.
We
Everything
do
works out in
20
ripples.
minutes on someone talk about DNA activation on another show.
So after 3,000 years or 3 seasons, the outer race fell into the Iron Age in the middle of the Aries constellation, because Aries constellation, that's the ram, because the Bible started with the worship of bulls. Of ox, of Taurus, the Taurus, okay? It wasn't the worship of bulls. It was telling us then that the Bible, it wasn't saying when they were worshipping bulls, oxes, they weren't that. It was the Bible's way of saying we were in the Taurian age, the age of the bull. We were ramming our way forward into the new age. He'd forgotten what a bull was. But then we left Taurus. Moses was told to sacrifice what? When all the people were worshipping cow gods, what was Moses told to sacrifice?
It was a lamb.
A lamb, because we're entering the Aryan age.
Okay.
The Aries.
Okay.
So we'd move from Taurus into Aries, because we had to stop with all the bull stuff, stop with all the bullshit.
He needs to definitely
sacrifice a ram.
Stop with the bullshit, that's true.
So 2,000 years ago, okay, at the end of the Aries age, what happened? Well, 2,000 years, we moved into the area of what? Well, Jesus was 2,000 years ago. Jesus is what? He was what's a symbol of Jesus in terms
shepherd?
of okay, what's a different symbol of Jesus in terms of animals or creatures?
I don't know.
What do Christians draw on the back of their cars?
Fish.
Oh, the fish thing.
So fish. Jesus was the fisher of man.
Right.
They were telling us to stop worshipping the ram, the Aries,
yes,
moving into the fish. Pisces. So 2,000 years ago was Pisces.
And the whole Lord is my shepherd thing is just...
The Lord, well, that was before, wasn't it? Because of the sheep going into the thing. So we're about to shift in 2020 from the Bronze Age into the Aquarius Age, because Aquarius is water. So what's a picture of water? It's all about mixing. Okay, things are going to get mixed. The age of coming together. It's the age of technology, of information, of the internet. Obviously, a picture of water represents the internet.
Of course it does.
That's the age we're in now. We're coming together. We have people from all over the world mixing to find the truth, because that's what they were doing at the Flat Earth Convention. People from all over the world mixing together to find the truth. It all makes sense if you look at it from this angle and squint. Okay, so we're rattling through it now. On the outside, they're all one behind. So we're here. The outside ones from us are behind us by 3,000 years. The inside are ahead by 3,000 years. Everything works back in a ripple in that kind of way. Okay, so the Aryans are 3,000 years ahead of us. The ones outside, the Hyperboreans and Lemurians, are 3,000 years behind us, Mike. Don't frown at me like that, Mike. This is what's true.
Time travel.
Time travel, mate.
No.
Because, right, they were in their golden age when we fell into our Iron Age, but we're now moving from our Iron Age into our Bronze Age, which means they've gone from their golden age to their Iron Age.
So they've gone... What? So they got back again?
Yeah, you do. You go iron, bronze, silver, gold, back to iron again. Look at the calendar; it's right in front of you, mate. Come on, read the signs; it's right there, black and white,
where they got
yellow and
low
gold.
DNA activation, and they're not using an awful lot of consciousness anymore.
No, not a lot of they've gone from gods.
Yes.
Next day, bam, low DNA activation. Oh, nuts. Okay, so they fall in their Iron Age. They're now in their Iron Age. Hence, NASA, that's why they're so determined to go to Mars. Because Mars, remember, is the sun of their realm. We want to go and colonize Mars because they're desperate to colonize Mars. Why is that? Because something is about to happen. Something. They're about to fall. We're about to fall. We're going to colonize them.
But Mars is tiny on their little fucking diagram there as well.
Yeah, but it's like quite... Well, I was going to say it's quite big on the actual...
but not compared to the Earth.
Thing, but actually not compared to the Earth now.
So, something about to happen.
It's about the size of a continent.
We're going to colonise them. On the centre, the people in the centre, they're on the up. They've been in their Bronze Age for the last 3,000 years, although they're behind us. I got confused here. The Aryans, so they're about to go into their Silver Age, getting ready for the Golden Age in 3,000 years' time, but they're 3,000 years ahead of us. So the outer, they're Saturn land, okay, because in the furthest out, that's where Saturn is, Jupiter and Saturn. So they're Saturn land because their world is ruled by Saturn. Satan. They're Satanists in the outer realm. That's where it comes from. It's not some being. Satan isn't a being. They're just telling us that. Who's telling us that? The reptilians, maybe, who live out there on the Saturn land. Maybe they've got reptilian features. Perhaps they're reptilian-looking. They are the Saturnian race. And at this point, he said, these are the Saturnian race on the outside worlds, influencing our government secretly, perhaps. At one point, one guy goes by himself. Incredible. One man's ovation there.
Was it David Icke?
It wasn't David Icke, but it could well have been. So, he said, at this point, we're going to have to go quickly. I haven't got time to go into depth. 2 hours, 41 minutes in the talk. We see 2020 everywhere. What's that mean? Vision, 2020 vision. Why are we saying 2020 vision? 2020 all the time. Why 2020? It's 2018 now. Why 2020
what?
vision? That's because on the 25th of January this year, the doomsday clock, that's something scientists have, all of the media showed it, it was set to 2 minutes from doomsday. Okay, this scared me at the time, he said. Like, are we close to World War III? What's this mean? Then I realised what they meant. If you look at the word apocalypse in Greek, these are connected sentences.
Yeah.
Apocalypse in Greek means renewal. That's what a doomsday is. It's the renewal that the Hopi Indian tribe were talking about. The rainbow children come back, renew everything when everything's starting to fall. So, when I saw we're 2 minutes to midnight on the doomsday clock, I equated that to 2 years. You liked that bit, didn't you?
It just makes absolutely no sense.
Why not?
Whatsoever.
So I mean, 2 minutes to midnight.
We know 24
Therefore,
hours
2 years.
is 24,000 years.
Yeah.
And so therefore
2 minutes.
2 minutes
It's 2 years.
Is 2 years.
That's
obviously.
maths.
Yeah.
That's maths. So therefore, 2018, maybe we're 2 years away from doomsday. Maybe. What could it be?
He wasn't the first guy to have brought up. We did mention in the last episode, somebody else had just out of nowhere said the year 2020. It's important.
Oh, they did. You're right.
And that was it.
That was it.
It was important.
What if that was a massive throw ahead? That would have been incredible. If he knew bookending the day. Oh God, it's all coming together.
Would have had to drink.
Yeah. So he said, "Doomsday. What could it be? Maybe 2020 Doomsday. That's the year we will officially shift into the new age." There's something called the event on the internet. If you look at that, there's lots of people saying we're close to the event. The event is about to happen. Lots of people talking about the event. What does that mean? Well, we see doomsday talk, we see talk about the event, we see talk about World War, talk about being close to colonizing Mars. What's going on? So I try to understand it. So every 3,000 years, like I've shown you, we go through a shift. And this shift is always marked by physical events. So I think at some point, possibly in 2020, the electromagnetic torus fields on each of the domes are going to open up. And when they open up, we'll see the different solar systems in the universe, which apparently we don't see right now, even though we do see them because he's talking about Jupiter and Mars and we can see those things. So we'll see the different solar systems of the universe. We'll all see the return of Christ. Every human being on Earth will see the return of Christ. Not Christ the human being, the physical being, but Christ as in the event. So Christ is the event.
Christ the event, yeah.
Christ is the cosmic alignment, the galactic alignment that lights up the whole universe. And I think we're quite close to it. And he said, and I wonder if these chemtrails that they're spraying and getting worse are trying to hide the event so they can create a fake event for everyone. So
who? Why?
The reptiles.
Why?
Because if the torus fields open up, if there are dark chemtrails like we've seen, we might not see all the stars, the heavenly beings in the sky. And if this happens for he said, this event, it happens for, I think, 7 days. It's not a prolonged event when the torus fields are open. But then NASA will finally be able to leave the Van Allen belt, as been saying, and go and colonize Mars. And I think we might have a fake alien invasion. I don't know. I'm hypothesizing.
How can we colonize Mars? Water won't lie on a ball. It'll run off.
That's a very good point. Maybe they don't need to because they'll go in for a spaceship and we'll live in spaceships on Mars, anchored down. I don't know. I'm hypothesizing. Maybe, perhaps, according to me. There'll be a lot of movement in these realms for those who know what's going on.
But that's what rain is. That's the water running off Mars.
So, some who are ahead of their time will time travel into the future. He said, I told you to put your seatbelts on. They'll time travel into the future, into the central realm, 3,000 years in the future. And those who've done their time and they're ready to move on, they won't have to die, because there is no death. They'll physically be able to walk into the centre, beyond the North Winds, into Hyperborea. Hyperborea was out over, he got confused. Polonia, the Polarians were on Mount Maru in the centre, in what is going to be the Aryan race, so what's like Araria? Nazi Germany. So, but Hyperborea is out, so he's got a bit confused there. But you can walk towards the North Pole, or you can walk to Hyperborea if you like.
Okay.
Those who are going back in time, who walk towards Hyperborea, they'll go back and they'll rule those worlds because they're from 3,000 years in the future.
Right.
And he said, and I wonder, 3,000 years ago, these royal families we talk about who rule the world, the elites, perhaps they did what we're just about to do with those outer lands. You know, maybe they came from an inner land to us in our last 3,000-year age. History repeats itself. We had our Iron Age. They came from other realms because they were ahead of us, and they've been running us secretly because we were in our Iron Age. Oh. So these people aren't Atlanteans. They're not the same race as us, which is why they do some of the sick stuff that these elites do, because they don't really care, because they consider themselves a different species, a different bloodline.
What's he talking about?
He did say strap in. I did tell you this needed a show. This needed the best part of a show for itself. So he said, this is where we are. There's going to be time travel. those going back to the future are going to go back into the future and start to rule as a new world order on the outside. What will happen in this realm is a one world order, different from New World Order, because the event's going to happen. They don't want anyone to know about it, so they hide it with chemtrails and all sorts of things, and they'll stage their own fake event with fake aliens and spaceships or whatever, and people will see this and they'll come together. Because if we woke up one morning and we saw there were spaceships up there, and some of them shot out the skies, and then they were firing at us, and the government said, "Don't worry, we'll shoot them out the skies," and then they were shot out the skies, and there was a broadcast of Trump saying, "We just saved the world. There are aliens out there, so let's come together, human race." Out of fear, everyone would be glued to their TVs, going, "Yeah, let's come together. Let's unite as a human race." Is that a bad thing? Yes, and no. You said it like that. Is that a bad thing? Yes. And no. Okay. Because there are many things that we'll lose, like liberties and that.
Liberties and that, yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, perhaps it's a natural cycle of things that coming together could be now preparing and moving on that cycle. There's always a bad element, always a good element. It's not necessarily an evil thing. I don't have anger or hate toward anyone who doesn't understand the astrology behind it. The season and reason for everything, once we're awakened, we should reach a stage where we just appreciate life. And he said, it's one of my favourite things he said, once you get past the fear and the anxiety of, oh my God, they're doing this to us, they're killing us, get past that and just say, wow, this is amazing. So get past the fear and anxiety of, they're killing us, and go, wow, this is amazing. We're living in amazing times. This is what I'm living my life by. I have no fear of anything, of death, of anything. So I think this is going to happen on the 21st of the 12th, 2020, during the winter solstice. It's the only time a cosmic alignment can happen. Even the Mayans predicted the end of the world on the 21st of December 2012. He said, if you remember the Falcon launch, there were some funny spiraling bubbles on the video. Yeah, it looked like they were trying to pierce something. Do you know what the date of that was? That was 21st of December. And I was wondering, are they trying to beat time? Because we all looked up and thought, what's going on? There's bubbles coming off the Falcon thing when it went up. I had a look. There are a couple of things floating off it.
Yeah, but of course that means we're trying to beat time.
We're trying to beat time.
You know,
because they know that any time now, the Taurus fields will be weak enough for them to leave.
Because how else is time going to learn?
Exactly. You've got to beat it. So the Taurus fields, they'll be weak enough to leave. So they were trying their luck. And then he said, this is brilliant, he said, have we got a clip of that? We didn't have a clip of that.
What was on telly?
He also, there was lovely bits as well where he had his chalkboard out with his cosmic clock on it, and he was being filmed, and you could see he was being filmed for the
various
internet.
media people who were there. Yeah.
And he had his PowerPoint presentation up. He said, "I don't have a PowerPoint slide of the cosmic clock. Don't know why I didn't think to put that on a slide." So he said, "Can I get a close up of that on the cameras?" The cameraman didn't even move. No one. It just like there was a still of about 40 seconds while no one did anything. He went, "No, okay, just carry on."
But he kept coming back to it.
He did,
like, can we put that up on the screen? Like, can no one have a close up on the screen? The camera's not connected to the screen.
Yeah. And if you remember what he said last episode about the tech level, that was never going to happen. So he said, I think when they shot things up on 21st December, they were trying to pierce the Taurus field and leave on the 21st December, because we all shared that video and thought, what's going on? And I think they were trying to cheat time. They were so clean to go and colonize Mars. So last little bit here. He said, unfortunately, because I've not gone into detail.
Has he not? No.
2 hours, 51 minutes. Because I'm going to post some videos. There's even more, there's so much more in the mainstream media that they're not telling us. But once you see things from this perspective, I now watch the news and I understand the coding of what they're trying to tell us. And I think that's the language they speak, and they're going to try and tell us the truth without telling us the truth. But once you become illuminated, you understand what's going on.
Because for some reason, the evil conspiracy that runs the world likes to go on telly and drop hints.
Yes, but in
for some reason.
There's a lot of fear on the internet. Nothing to be feared. It's a fantastic, beautiful thing. No one will die. If you do die, it's because you're in the wrong place and you're doing the wrong thing. But if you understand what's happening, good things are going to happen for you. For those who are staying behind, those who aren't travelling out or in, a new age will rise out of that, and they're going to need new pioneers, people to help shepherd the new age in. People will be looking for answers. Where are your family? Where are your friends? You're the only person who is a flat earther, so you're the only person who might know something about what happened. People will be thinking, why is the sky a different colour? What are those planets? Is that Nibiru returning? Is that Planet X returning? It's just people seeing the outer celestial bodies, outer sun and moons. If it happens when I think it will happen, embrace it and comfort those around you and say, it's just going to happen for a bit, for the next 7 days, but good things are happening. Some of you might be led down paths where you discover you're on a new journey to go on ahead or stay behind and do some stuff. And then he ended with this. He said, for me, I really, really, really want to go to the centre. I really, really do. I had a journey planned with a few friends a few months ago. We were going to do it, and we were settled about doing it. And then the universe said, it's not the right time to go north yet. There's a time, a season and a place for everything. Wait for the right time. So that's what I'm doing. And if it doesn't happen, then fine, whatever. Life goes on. I guess.
How did the universe set what? Did you get a postcard?
So I was a bit worried by that last bit because at the time I thought, oh, it was going to happen. It didn't happen. It sounded like you were talking about getting back on the next. Like, oh, I'm sure it'll happen sometime. Listen to it back with the echoes of him, first of all, saying, I had a really rough time.
Sure.
And then the echoes of him saying, there is no death and you can't die. There's only energy and you'll physically go there and I don't fear death. I was like, oh, Christ, when he said I was going to go there and something was going to happen and we were definitely going to do it and then the universe told us not to do it. I thought, and I think I'm reading too much into that.
Being like outrageously metaphorical there.
Well, I think I'm reading too much into that. I think I spent a weekend with conspiracy theorists reading significance to everything, but there was
yeah.
But that was a cosmic egg, Mike.
So as we mentioned earlier at the show, we got the Merseyside Skeptics charity walk is this Sunday from 11 o'clock. You'll find details about that up on our Facebook page.
Yep.
I'm led to believe, I wouldn't know, not having Facebook anymore.
It's definitely on Facebook and Meetup, and
it's
we've
also
tweeted about it. It's on the website.
It's even on our website.
It's everywhere.
That's in aid of the evidence-based non-profit.
Give well.
I was going to say get well.
Give well, get well.
The evidence-based non-profit that sends cards to people who are sick.
Yeah, it's a worthwhile endeavour. We're all on board.
Evidence-based non-profit Give Well, who distribute money to charities based on kind of evidence of what's going to be the most effective, which we think is quite a cool idea.
We do.
And you'll find the link to donate to that in the show notes. We also have our social event, which has been because we did Robin Ince earlier in the month because it was the only time that Robin could do it.
Yeah, and it was a great event.
I couldn't make Robin Ince.
It was
an
a
absolutely fantastic
really great event. Yeah.
But I gather it was very good.
It was absolutely packed. Robin was brilliant. He was on great form,
as is ever the case with Robin,
absolutely.
isn't he?
He spent a good amount of time taking the piss out of me on the sidelines.
Good.
quite often throwing things my way. But no, it was good. It was really good fun. He's really, really great.
But because we had Robin earlier in the month, our social event is going to be tonight as of the time the episode goes out. So that's 8 o'clock in Dr. Duncan's on St. John's Lane. There's also QED. We should talk about QED.
We should talk about QED.
QED is the annual conference that we organise with the Greater Manchester Skeptics. That's taking place on the 13th and 14th of October this year. Tickets are £113, £75 if you're a student or if you're under 18. You should come along and you'll get to meet me and you'll get to meet Marsh and you will not get to meet Alice.
You will not get to meet Alice.
I will not be there.
She has snubbed QED this time.
I really want to go to QED.
If you also really want to go to QED, you should probably get a wriggle on because tickets are selling very, very quickly.
Tickets for QED are selling faster this year than any other QED in history.
Yes, yeah, that's absolutely true.
Which is it's kind of amazing for us.
It is great for us, yeah.
But so
it means if you're the kind of person who's like, I'll get tickets in maybe August,
not.
September, you might not.
There
get
may
tickets
not
in
even
August,
be
September.
tickets August, September. Also, it's worth noting that this is the final QED of this decade.
Yes,
because we are not doing a QED next year. This is the last QED of the decade.
If the cosmic alignment happens in early 2020, we might be
the last one ever.
Or we'll be doing QED not from Manchester, but from the North Pole.
Yeah.
It'll be us with the Polarians. Come and join us with the Polarians on QED live from Mount Maru.
The headline guests that we've got announced for QED so far are the Skeptics Guide to the Universe, who are going to be doing a live show for us at QED. There's also Helen Arney that we've announced is going to be the MC for us.
Great.
And George Hrab is flying over to come and speak for us as well. We've got many more guests to announce, as well as workshops, podcasts, panel sessions, the usual stuff for QED, and a few stuff that we've got up our sleeve.
Surprises.
As is ever the case, there's stuff that's up our sleeve. So you can go to QEDcon.org. But if you cannot wait until October to meet Marsh, is there some other opportunity, Marsh, where people might get the opportunity to meet you who might otherwise not get the opportunity to meet you?
Yes, there absolutely is. I am going to be speaking at the Science-Based Medicine Day of Nexus in New York in July.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the weekend around July the 15th-ish. It's that kind of whole area of the calendar.
That's the Northeast Conference for Science and Skepticism.
It very much is. The week. So I'm speaking on the Friday the 13th, in fact, in New York. I'm going to be talking about the work of good thinking in challenging pseudoscience at the heart of the British establishment, which is a talk that I gave in South Africa last year, and I've updated it a bit more with stuff in there. So yeah, if you want to come along and see me, I'll be at Nexus all weekend, especially on the Friday where I'll be giving a talk. I'll also be knocking about New York for a couple of days, so if anybody wants me to do a talk in the New York region, you're welcome to. If you can get together some people in a room, I'm very happy to give one of my other talks there as well, if you're up for it.
It'd be a very good idea.
Yeah.
You'll be plugging the show heavily while you're on stage. I imagine every other sentence will be, find Skeptics with a K on iTunes.
It very much will be.
Because that's what we need.
That's really exactly what we need. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
Try and improve on those audiences. Always advertising.
That's what you got to do.
Always advertising. Aside from that, then, I think that is all we have time for.
I think so.
All that remains then is for me to thank Marsh for coming along today.
Thank you.
By thank, I mean that in quotes.
Yep.
Thank you very much to Alice.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've been the three Aryan presenters of Skeptics with a K.
And we will see you next time.
Bye now.
Bye.
Skeptics with a K is a production of the Merseyside Skeptics Society. For more information, visit our website www.merseysideskeptics.org.uk or email podcast@merseysideskeptics.org.uk.